evening or afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for giving your time to us and joining us to learn about how magnesium is essential for the immune system and much more essential than people even realize. So I'm just going to get right into it in the interest of time. And just a reminder to anybody, you will be sent a recording of this if you signed up, and you can always rewatch it. And we also post it on YouTube so that if you want to access it later and you can't find your copy, you can just head onto YouTube and find it. So I'm going to share my screen and get started with the presentation. 1 second. Make sure I share the right screen. Okay, I think everyone can see my screen. That shows the cover slide. If you can't see it, just let me know. So like I mentioned, magnesium is one of these nutrients that is so important for our immune system, but it doesn't get talked about enough. So when we think about the immune system, some nutrients that I've always heard about, vitamin D, of course, we heard a lot about that with the pandemic, selenium, zinc, vitamin C, and then you hear about different herbs or different things like oregano oil, olive leaf that can really help fight these viruses or bacteria that we're dealing with. But nobody really talks about magnesium. I think that they don't talk about magnesium for a few reasons. Magnesium is needed for 80% of biochemical reactions in the body. And what that means is that it's important for almost everything the body does, but it sometimes gets forgotten about for certain body processes. So because it's such a superstar for relaxing us, for sleep, for stress, for muscle cramps, for energy, immune health kind of gets forgotten about, even though it's equally important for immune health. I think it's also not talked about enough for immune health because when we talk about certain things, like I said, oregano oil, vitamin C, vitamin D, when we get sick, we're told increase your zinc, increase your selenium, increase all of this to get rid of that virus. With magnesium, we don't necessarily just increase it when we're sick to knock out a virus. With magnesium, the key point is that we need it all the time in our body because it's when we're deficient that our immune system doesn't function very well. So because it's not one of these, immune players that we dose ourselves with when we're sick, it's more of a steady player that we need all the time. We don't really think of it as an important immune system nutrient, but it is extremely important, and I would argue one of the most important for an immune system. The other important thing to note is that we are heading into cold and flu season. Yay, we're already hearing about how many things there are going around and how much worse the COVID pandemic might get again in the winter. However, we have to remember that magnesium for our immune system is something we want to take year round. It's not something that we just take in cold and flu season. For me, I often take immune boosters extra in cold and flu season. I have 3 young kids. They bring home a lot, so I want to keep my immune system extra strong this time. But when it comes to magnesium, we need to keep it in our bodies all the time. And it's for a few reasons. One, we want to make sure that we're not starting this cold and flu season deficient. It's not as easy to correct a magnesium deficiency as it is to keep, your levels optimal. And then the other thing that we want to remember is that our immune system does so much more than just fight viruses and bacteria during cold and flu season. Our immune system works for us all year round. It works on allergies, which we've talked about how much magnesium can help for allergies. And, I hate to say the other C word, but cancer, when we have optimal immune health, then things like cancer are less likely to harm us or less likely to spread as quickly. So we want to think of our immune system and magnesium as something we want to support all year round, as it's much more important than just doing enough in cold and flu season. Okay, so to start the presentation. So number one, and this I would say is one of the most important points, although it's kind of hard to pick and choose, is that magnesium strengthens our immune system. So magnesium is considered to be an immune modulator. So what it does is it increases the activity involved in the formation of antibodies. It helps in immune response and makes cells more active in protecting themselves from the microbial, bacterial, and viral attacks. So just because it makes the immune system more active and more robust, it's essential to producing those antibodies to help in that immune response. So our magnesium can allow our immune system to actually seek out those virally infected cells and seek out the cancerous cells and encourage what's called apoptosis, which is cellular death. So that's when you want the system to attack certain cells and you want them to die. So magnesium can actually encourage these killer cells to bind to virally infected cells and target them for destruction. So we want these viruses, these bacteria, to be able to be destroyed by the body. And magnesium is one of the things that encourages the immune system to do this. Studies show that magnesium deficient animals and humans have depressed immune responses. And in turn, if they supplement with magnesium, a partial or near full reversal of the immunodeficiency occurs. So that's pretty major. So basically, magnesium deficient means you have a deficient immune system, and when you correct it, then the reversal happens. And in addition, a study on mice showed that cancer cells replicated much faster when they were deficient in magnesium. When they were fed magnesium, the cancer cell production slowed down. This kind of goes back to the point what I was talking about before. Magnesium is not only necessary during cold and flu season, it's necessary all year around. So because magnesium helps with antibody creation and it helps seek out these infected cells, magnesium is really important to keep in our bodies all the time to strengthen our immune system. So that's how magnesium gives your immune system direct support. Now, some ways it gives it a little bit indirect support. So it can reduce stress and anxiety, and people experiencing stress have lower magnesium levels. So when we're stressed, the immune system's ability to fight off antigens is reduced. And that's why we're more susceptible to infections. So when stress hormones like cortisol are high, it can suppress the effectiveness of the immune system. And in other words, you could say it lowers the number of lymphocytes, which are important cells for the immune system. So people under stress have lower magnesium levels because magnesium blocks the action of the stress hormone adrenaline and it calms people with anxiety. So magnesium has been shown to reduce stress. It stimulates GABA receptors in the brain, which have an overall calming effect. And the role of magnesium in relieving stress and anxiety is so deeply established that a lot of doctors actually refer to magnesium as nature's natural relaxant. So nature's calming mineral, it calms the body, it calms the mind. And we know that overnight the immune system has its time to wake up and activate and create those cells that it needs to support our healthy body, to support a strong immune system, and to kill off any infections. So when we're stressed, when we're anxious, it's hard to get into this overnight deep sleep that the immune system needs to rejuvenate. So that brings me to my next point, that magnesium is also indirectly necessary for the immune system because it aids in a restful sleep. So studies show that people who don't get quality sleep or don't get adequate hours of sleep are more likely to get sick after being exposed to a virus. So bottom line, you get exposed to a virus, you're well rested, your body is better able to fight it off. Lack of sleep can also negatively impact how quickly we recover if we fall ill. So you're already kind of at a double disadvantage because you're tired, so your body can't fight off that virus as easily, and then you stay ill for longer because you haven't been getting enough sleep. So the severity and longevity of the illness is very impacted by our sleep, and our sleep is impacted by magnesium levels. So magnesium helps shut down our central nervous system. So when you're sleeping, your immune system awakens and releases protective immune proteins called cytokines. And certain cytokines are needed need in your body to increase when you have an infection or inflammation, or just when you're under stress. Another reason why stress affects the immune system. So sleep deprivation can increase the production of these, sleep deprivation can decrease the production of these protective cytokines. So we really need these to happen at night. Also, infection-fighting antibodies and cells are reduced during periods when we don't get enough sleep. So you can easily see why we are more susceptible to a virus when we don't get enough sleep, because we don't have the protective cytokines and we don't have the infection-fighting antibody cells being created. Magnesium, again, helps you get that restful sleep. So it's essential for a healthy immune system, because when we don't sleep, we don't have a strong immune system. So magnesium also promotes better lung health. So not every virus or bacteria affects the lungs, but a lot do. And we know that the nice pandemic we've been dealing with for the last couple of years has great potential to affect our lungs. So magnesium can open up the bronchial airways and it reduces hyperreactivity or wheezing, which makes absolutely perfect sense when you think about magnesium's role as a muscle relaxant. So magnesium will relax any muscle in the body. It also helps relax and dilate the blood vessels. So when it reduces the wheezing, that's also what it's doing in the lungs. So studies prove that it's beneficial for the treatment of lung-related disease, such as asthma, pneumonia, things that are affecting our lungs through its anti-inflammation, antioxidation, and bronchial smooth muscle relaxation. So that's what magnesium can do for you. It can help relax the bronchial muscles. It's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it helps improve your lung health. So high magnesium intake is also associated with reduced risk of airway hyperreactivity and wheezing. So again, just another reason why we want to keep our magnesium intake high, make sure we don't get deficient. So one of my favorites, magnesium activates vitamin D to make it available to the immune system. So without magnesium, vitamin D remains inactive, making it ineffective and potentially unsafe. So if we're supplementing with vitamin D, but it's not getting activated in our body, it's really no different than not supplementing with it at all, other than the money you're wasting. So a study estimated that actually 50% of the American population, and we can assume a similar amount in areas like Canada and Ireland and the UK, who have similar climates and diets, that they have adequate vitamin D levels, but they actually lack the magnesium to utilize it. So that's a pretty big figure. Half the population actually isn't deficient in vitamin D. They're deficient in magnesium, and then the body can't activate it. So our body needs to convert vitamin D into the active hormone calcitriol, and it's dependent on two enzymatic functions in the body, and both of those enzymatic functions are magnesium dependent. So you take the vitamin D, goes into the liver, you've got to have enough magnesium to do the first process, to get in the kidney, enough magnesium to then activate it for use in the body and for use in the immune system and for proper bone and tooth health. So a general rule of thumb is that for every 1,000 units of vitamin D, we want 100 milligrams of magnesium for proper utilization in the body. And of course, we will get into this, but the form of magnesium that you take is extremely important, because if you're not getting a well-absorbed form, you won't be getting that 100 milligrams that you need for that active vitamin D. So magnesium can help protect organs and tissues from damage caused by viruses. So this study specifically looked at COVID-19 and concluded that magnesium was one effective strategy to fight COVID-19, and that magnesium can relieve lung symptoms, protect the nervous system, improve cardiovascular function, liver and kidney injury, control blood glucose levels by the inhibition of inflammation, help with oxidative stress, and smooth muscle contraction. So that's a slew of things that magnesium can do. And we know that magnesium does all of those things, but that's partly why it can help produce better COVID outcomes and why it's considered to be a good strategy in fighting COVID-19. So magnesium supplementation protects organs and tissues from damage through multiple mechanisms, including that anti-inflammation, antioxidation, and immune regulation. So that's 3 ways that magnesium protects our organs and tissues from damage caused by viruses. Now, anybody that has got a bad case of COVID, or even just some people get a mild case, but they're having a really hard time bouncing back from it. We hear this way too often with COVID-19. This can happen with any sickness, but it seems to be much more common with COVID-19 that there's a certain part of the body that's just not working well after getting COVID-19. Everything, heals except for certain things. So you want to make sure that your magnesium for you and your loved ones is high enough to protect any of those organs or tissues from getting damaged by a virus. So I know everybody's sick of that, C19 word, but we need to recognize that COVID-19 is not going anywhere. We just have to learn to live with it. And that's what we're trying to do right now. First, we tried to make sure it didn't spread. We did lockdowns. We all stayed home. But now we're at the point where we see it seems like it's going to be like a flu, where we're going to have to deal with mutations every year, where it's going to be a virus that's going to be common, extremely contagious. So we just have to learn to live with this awful virus and do the best we can to protect our bodies. There was a lot of research that came out talking about how important vitamin D was. I would have liked to see a lot more news coverage on how important magnesium is, because it works so closely with vitamin D, and because studies like this one show how important magnesium is for protecting the organs and tissues. But we are one step ahead because we know this, so we can protect ourselves and our family and our loved ones by making sure we keep our magnesium optimized. So as I mentioned before, magnesium is needed for 80% of enzymatic processes in your body, which translates to about 1,000 processes. And the thing with magnesium is like you already heard, you know, there's so many things it does. It helps you sleep, it helps with stress, it helps that immune system, it helps the lung health, it helps antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. It basically does everything. Now, that doesn't mean it's the only thing you need in the be all end all, but we always say it's very hard to achieve optimal health if you do not have optimal magnesium levels, because you don't know which health problem you're experiencing that might be a cause of magnesium deficiency, or might be a result of magnesium deficiency. So it's very important whenever you're dealing with a health issue that could relate to magnesium, which is most things because it's needed for 80% of enzymatic processes in your body. We have to make sure that we're not just dealing with a magnesium deficiency. And sometimes just taking magnesium can help that health issue go away, or sometimes it helps it go away partly and you still need extra help. But bottom line, magnesium is where it's at. So some magnesium deficiency symptoms: muscle cramps or pains in your legs, especially, but anywhere in your body, restless legs, stress and anxiety, insomnia or restless sleep, like you move a lot or flip-flop a lot, poor bone health, hormonal issues, blood pressure issues, trouble focusing, low energy, or heart issues. These are just a few of the things that can happen when you're deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is very difficult to get from our diet. Our soil levels, our food processing, preparing food in a hurry, all of these things lead it to being lessened in our diet. So we're already starting at a depletion in our soil, and then it gets depleted when we cook it. Or sometimes if we don't prepare certain whole grains properly, it can rob our body of magnesium. So there's a lot that goes on that makes it difficult to get proper magnesium. And there's a lot that impairs magnesium absorption in our diet as well. So it's really important to supplement with magnesium to make sure that you're getting optimal levels. The other thing is that less than 1% of magnesium in our body is found in our blood. So doing a blood test is not accurate for the magnesium levels in your body. If your blood test shows your magnesium is fine, that means like 1% of the magnesium in your body is there, and it needs to be there, because if it wasn't getting to your heart, you wouldn't be alive anymore. So we really go by magnesium deficiency symptoms to figure out if we are deficient. And we also just know that because it's estimated that 80% of the population is deficient, and that it's so depleted in our food, that we could all stand to improve our health by supplementing with magnesium. So some things that can cause low magnesium in the body: we already talked about soil depletion. We already talked about a bit about food, but a lot of it is poor food choices, like having too much processed foods, too many boxed foods. We talked a bit about improper food preparation. A lot of us lack the knowledge or the time to properly make food to make sure that we don't lose the magnesium in it. Alcohol intake, sugar intake, they both rob our body of magnesium. High level of physical activity can even cause us to need more magnesium, because every time a muscle contracts, it uses calcium, and every time it relaxes, it uses magnesium. So the more active we are, the more magnesium is being used in our body, which is a good thing, but we have to make sure that we're keeping our levels high. Certain medications can certainly lower the body's magnesium levels. Bowel troubles or absorption issues can certainly make it hard to absorb magnesium from our food, and stress, of course, is a huge one. So just really quick on magnesium and stress, because we saw how much stress can harm the immune system. Stress could increase magnesium loss, causing a deficiency, and in turn, magnesium deficiency could enhance the body's susceptibility to stress, resulting in a magnesium and stress vicious cycle. So this is a direct quote from a research study. So basically, when we're stressed, we use more magnesium, and when we have lower magnesium, we have a harder time handling stress. So it's a very vicious cycle that can really only be cured, let's say, or remedied by supplementing with a high quality magnesium supplement. So we did talk a little bit about diet in magnesium. You need to be very prepared and know what you're doing. So a whole foods diet will be rich in magnesium. Specific foods: nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, dairy, leafy greens, dark chocolate, figs, avocados, bananas, and potatoes. But you really have to have the knowledge and time to prepare properly. For example, if you eat raw leafy greens, you are not getting near the magnesium content you would if you lightly sauteed them. If you don't soak your whole grains, then you won't be getting the magnesium content that you would be if they were soaked. So there's a lot that you need to know about in the kitchen to make sure that you can get all of your magnesium from your whole foods diet. So we always say the best way to ensure adequate magnesium levels is through supplementation. We have very busy lives, and if you're anything like me, it's like, oh, no, I'm going to focus on my diet. I'm going to, make sure I do it this week. And although I do eat healthy, I'm busy. There's a lot going on, and food, unfortunately, and diet is easily the #1 thing to fall by the wayside because I can get food and things somewhere else. So if I happen to be busy, I can always pick up food at a restaurant or take out if I feel hungry. But that's really only one way I can save time in my busy life. So supplementing is really important with magnesium to make sure that we're not getting deficient, to make sure that we can keep our immune system strong this year. So the research really on magnesium supplementation, it doesn't lie. Like we talked about, it shows that it helps with the tissue damage, the reversal of immunodeficiencies, slowing those cancer cell rate. It activates vitamin D. Just a reminder that when magnesium deficient animals and humans have depressed immune responses, when they supplement with magnesium, a partial or near reversal occurs. So it's pretty clear how much magnesium can help the immune system and help us in general. So not all magnesium is created equally. And if you are a current customer of ours or follow any of our channels or read our articles, you will be very familiar with why our magnesium is so well absorbed. So we have a few different brands just to run over them really quickly. We have our Mag 365 line, which is our ionic magnesium citrate. So this is a very highly bioavailable form. When you add hot water to this powder, it fizzes, which means it's activating. And when it's done fizzing, that means it's good for you to drink because it's activated in the glass. You drink it and your body goes to work using it immediately. It becomes one of the best absorbed forms you can get. This ionic powder is very different than getting it in a tablet or capsule. If you get magnesium citrate in a tablet or capsule, it will not have the same absorption rate as the ionic magnesium powder. For those that prefer capsules, we also came out with Prismag. Prismag is our pure magnesium bisglycinate capsules. We don't use any binders or fillers or excipients in these. We use a vegan Pululon capsule, which is a capsule that gets very easily and quickly absorbed into the body. And magnesium bisglycinate is made from one magnesium molecule attached to 2 glycine molecules, which becomes a very strong supplement for stress and anxiety, since both magnesium and glycine can help with sleep and stress. And as you can see on the slide here, we won a Best Sleep Aid Award because this one just works extra well for sleep. The Mag 365 works awesome for sleep too, and some people actually say it works better for sleep for them, but this one is especially strong for sleep. And then for those of you that want to make sure that you're getting your vitamin D activated, or you have loved ones that take vitamin D, but you're concerned with the information you learned today that it's not getting activated in their body without magnesium, Vitamin D Plus combines vitamin D with magnesium, K2, and B12 to keep a strong and healthy immune system and make sure that vitamin D gets activated into your body every day. So just to summarize, magnesium strengthens your overall immune system. It can help reduce your stress and anxiety. It can aid in a restful sleep. It promotes better lung health. It activates vitamin D to make it available to the immune system, and it protects organs and tissues from damage caused by viruses. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 great ways that magnesium can help our immune system. And I'm sure knowing the power of magnesium, there's even more, but bottom line is take your magnesium every day. Don't let yourself get deficient, because then your immune system becomes weaker. So we thank you so much for joining us for this presentation to learn more. As you can see, I'm very excited to talk to you about getting healthier by using magnesium today. All of our points in this presentation are referenced. So if you'd like a copy of the presentation or the references used, please don't hesitate to email us at info@itlhealth.com. If you have any questions for me that you don't feel comfortable asking at the end of this presentation, you can feel free to email me there too, and we can take care of any answers for you. As an additional thank you for your time, we're offering 30% off for 72 hours using code IMMUNE30. And actually that has a space in it, but it shouldn't have a space. Sandwich that together, IMMUNE30, all one word. I apologize. And please use that when you hit the cart checkout on our website, and you will get 30% off any products that you buy. So I'm just going to exit this presentation and the screen sharing and open up the floor for any questions that anybody might have. Please don't be shy. One question that we commonly get is, should I take more magnesium when I'm sick? So magnesium is not like vitamin C or even vitamin D. We don't recommend increasing your dosage too much when you're sick. As I mentioned, magnesium is a nutrient that you need to keep in your body every day and keep your levels optimized. You can increase it slightly when you're sick because your body will use up more magnesium when you're under the weather to create those immune responses, like we said, to activate those killer cells to get those viruses out of your body. So you can increase your dosage by a capsule or, by 100 milligrams or something, just to make sure that you're replacing what the extra your body might have used while you're going through that difficult time. But we don't recommend to take too much while you're sick because it doesn't necessarily benefit you, as all the research shows that it's just having optimal levels of magnesium, not mega dosing with magnesium. The other thing is, if you take too much magnesium, then you will get loose bowels, which is a sign that your body couldn't use it all. So it's very safe to get extra amounts of magnesium, just making sure that you don't have a kidney disorder, because it is filtered by your kidneys. But it's very easy to play with your magnesium dosage to see what your optimal dosage is. But if you were sick and decided to double up your magnesium, you probably would get loose bowels because your body wouldn't need all that magnesium at once. Okay, I do see that we have a question from Anna. Anna, if you can, oh, I didn't even see, I didn't have the chat open, but Anna, if you can pop your question in the chat, if I'm reading that hand correctly, then I can definitely take care of answering it. A lot of people ask if there's a specific nutrient that's better, or a specific product of ours that's better for the immune system or not. Obviously, vitamin D plus is very good for the immune system because it's our product to make sure vitamin D gets activated in the system. Any magnesium will be great for the immune system, but we also do have the Prismag Plus and the Mag 365 BF. These have a couple extra ingredients that has vitamin D in it. This one also has vitamin C and zinc. So they are a really good choice if you want your magnesium and you want a few extra immune minerals or immune nutrients to help boost that immune system. Anna, I'm sorry if you are wanting to ask a question. I'm not seeing it in the chat. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you want answers to your questions at info@itlhealth.com. Or you can go to our website, itlhealth.co.uk, and you can go to the contact us form and send us a message, and we'll definitely get back to you. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for listening and learning more about magnesium. Please don't forget to stay subscribed to our emails so that you can find out what webinars we're running next month. And don't forget to follow us on social, where you can see more information and quotes and research studies and lives and questions answered by yours truly. If you follow ITL Health on Instagram or Facebook, or also you can follow Meg365 EU on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks again, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.